you are new here, I'm Kaniti, and if you're already watching this channel, welcome back. Today we are going to watch 18th episode of anime Steins Gate Zero. I have finished watching Stone Ocean and the first season of Made in Abyss, so now I have more time to finally finish Steins Gate Zero, so please look forward to it. I'm going to now finish all the remaining episodes and post them one by one in a timely fashion. So let's see what this one has. I'm very excited. Let's go. Okay, I'm very nervous, to be honest. Yeah, but we concluded that it did change. Oh shit, Professor is here! Is he going to reveal now finally that he's very evil? There's also the static sound in the end of this interesting. Okay, so I remember the previous episode relatively well. At least I remember the ending very well. It was kind of a cliffhanger in a sense, but Daru, another Daru from the future, told Suzuha, yeah, I'm not the same father that sent you here, so the world line has already shifted. And in this case, it's more. Well, in any case, with Mayusha, it is a bit strange because if world line has shifted to the option where she dies, then she doesn't meet Kagari in the future. So I think it's still a cliffhanger. Maybe Mayusha will survive, maybe the wound wasn't fatal, or maybe we are going to have to rewind time again and try to change the timelines again. It seems that relationship with Mayusha and Kagari is very important, is very much a focal point here. In this Steins Gate Zero, as well as, of course, the memory of Kurisu and Amadeus, which also Kagari is closely tied to. And I said already that I think Professor Leskinen might be a villain, so to say, and it seems like I was right. Otherwise, why would he show up? And such static would. The opening was not long enough for me to talk. Holy shit, their heads went off. It's like in a manga I read a very long time ago, Elfen Lied, I think it was called. Okay, so she's it's still her mama. She still remembers her, and there's still this connection. And she did get mad, like I presumed if it's her that she would. So maybe she came here separately from this group after finishing another woman in a helmet. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with him, right? Yeah, after all, there was a lot of hints. Yeah, I've already gave my reasons before why I suspect him, so I'm not going to repeat them. No, she definitely doesn't know anything. Yeah, see, she's still alive. This makes sense. Because otherwise, it would be kind of a paradox, wouldn't it? She defeated him with her look. It does look pretty deadly, though. I guess he didn't account. I'm sure he didn't account for Kagari's blow up. Nice job, Karin. Is he really out cold? If yes, then probably not for long. I have to say, she does look very cool, okay? She does. Yeah, she also was graced a lot of times. But it is understandable why she flipped out like that. Yeah, maybe you could get them like to a hospital or something. She can't? So there's an order to not feel pain. Yeah, it's like a very strong brainwashing, but it's a bit like different. Yeah, but he's like now using the fruits of labor of him in the future, so to say. that's how he sees the future. 13 years ago, so it was. How the call from the future could be here in the present? It would be more like he accidentally called her without realizing it, like in the past. Mm-hmm. So it was his goal for her to go to the past. That's the music she reacts to. This is the same professor Suzuha was talking about. If Hagari is connected to Amadeus and made from Amadeus, but she went back and he created Amadeus because of that, wouldn't be kinda. Maybe I misunderstood it? But not in a good way. I think you can be a mad scientist in a good way. Yeah, I think you can see it as a compliment. Destroyed. He shot like 3 times. Right in her, didn't he? Oh! That's impressive. Oh, that is nice. No, Suzuka, don't stop. Stop. I condone violence. But she, um, okay. Every time something new happens, I would say they should try get her to the hospital, but at the same time they're always being attacked or ambushed by someone. So I understand why it's not that easy. Maybe it will get destroyed actually, the time machine. Accidentally or something. Well, yeah, I just noticed this moment. If it's true, if it will be destroyed. Oh, okay, so Mayuri she will go. Okay. I wanted this. Yeah, it's suddenly so quiet. They were under attack like a second ago. This. I guess this is already becoming a war zone, like Professor Dar has said. What did I say? Professor Leskinen. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I'm just so taken with how he says Rintaro all the time, so. Is this a time machine? Is this where it was? The same spot? But if it did work out and they go back in time, then. But the reality is still the same. Ah, he wants to use this one. So I guess if everything is still the same and the machine just disappeared and there's no Mayusha and Suzuha anywhere, they assume they were murdered along with the machine. I mean, oh, Mayushi has wrote him. Is this before the scene on the rooftop she wrote this? But it's a new message, no? Oh, that's a sweet idea here. Like, we should go to Steins Gate World Line together. We should all work on it. We have to build a new one? Okay. Hmm. But if they're showing her, does this mean like it's her right now? She's just in a different location? Or is this just to be here? I'm not sure. This is what you said to me. Also, yeah, I didn't have time to read the lyrics because I was reading the subtitles here. But I mean, to be fair, there was a lot happening in this episode. A lot of kind of informational dump and a lot of events. But I feel like it is understandable Ocarin's feelings, of course, 100%. But he only saw. Okay, yes, that's true. Suzuha came with a message from the future that, yeah, Mayushi was alive in the future. And wait, there's still an additional scene. I wish to meet my Hikaboshi, Mayushi. Oh, that's just like an add-on on this Mayushi's motivation. But yeah, I just wanted to say the idea itself, Kurisu makes this sacrifice so Mayushi can live. But at that moment, you can't know like how long Mayushi will live. Maybe she'll get cancer and die. Like anything can happen at any moment. Any person can die at any moment from any reason. And so yeah, we got Suzuha who kind of came from the future, and we knew that Mayushi is alive in this future. And then we were told, oh, timeline has shifted, but Mayushi was still alive at this point, and Kagari still had that bond with her, and I think it was implied that Kagari has died here on the roof, but still, if Mayushi died here in the time machine, she would not live up to that future where she met Kagari in the future, and so this event wouldn't happen. So I think it would be more logical to assume that Mayushi did survive and managed to go back in time. Since Suzuha mentioned that the time machine only has fuel for one trip, maybe she just couldn't go back. She only went back to the past, but she couldn't return back to the present, for example. And that's also why the machine didn't reappear. And yeah, you would say like, but the events also didn't change. The events are still the same. Maybe they went back to the past and they have failed to change anything, and so the road line didn't shift and remained the same. In the end, it was a bit confusing, like he just got a message from Mayushi, but what Mayushi was saying in this message, it felt like she sent it before the events on the rooftop, where she made her decision and kind of told him about it. So yeah, this is a bit of a mess in my head right now, considering all of that. But let's go back. It's all paradoxes for me between the past of the present. Maybe I'm just not putting the pieces up correctly. For example, as I mentioned throughout when I was watching the episode, this Professor Leskinen. I'm very bad with his surname, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought he is like the villain from the start. There were too many hints. Yes, he is connected to this Amadeus system, obviously, but it's not like a huge reason for us to think that, yeah, this is definitely him, because in the future it could get like hijacked, someone else could take over, like anything could happen, and at the same time, there could be other moments here, but he was also shown to be suspicious, like the way he was framed, the way the sound was, and like his facial expressions and things that he was doing, especially that time where we just saw him in the corridor and he just went into some room or something. And it looks so innocent, like just a guy walking through the corridor and in a room. But the way it was framed in the anime, like how we saw it, the angle, the reaction, it felt like it's something suspicious, like there's something wrong with him. So I was not surprised, like in the slightest, when he appeared here, and was like, oh yeah, I was completely correct. He is connected to it. And also, Suzuha mentioned there was some bureau's professor in the future. The only thing is when they showed the silhouette, it seemed to me like he has dark hair. But in this episode, when there was this merge, they were showing Leskinen when he is like right now, and he was shifting the face between him and the future him. Obviously, it was just for the viewer, I would assume. Because his hair was more like on gray side, it looked darker. So it could still be possible that he is that bureau's professor that was mentioned. And yeah, when he was mentioned and there was this word, professor, it was also a bit of a hint, like, oh, maybe it is the same professor, right? And there were many other hints as well. And at the same time, obviously, his ideas and motivations, him kind of using Ocarine to be able to get closer to the secrets of the time machine. But at the same time, I feel like what he said was a bit confusing to me, like him from the future. He was working, like when we saw Kagari's file, it was written there like Amadeus something, right? So it felt like Amadeus was somehow connected to her, like they infused it into a human being or did something like that. So that was a bit confusing. But at the same time, maybe she is just a brainwashed kid who just happens to look similar to Kurisu in this case, and when she came here to the past as this brainwashed messenger. But again, this wouldn't make sense because we go back to her saying like God Kami-sama, the one who created her. So again, implying that she is this Amadeus system made into a person. So, and obviously the visual resemblance is not coincidental. And this brings me to the question, like, if he sent Kagari, who was already a personification of Amadeus in a way, to the past, so in the past he would get inspired and create Amadeus. Isn't this quite like a paradox? I mean, time paradox, maybe they are completely legal here. It's something that can happen, and maybe he did create it, and it's not like it's a plot hole or anything. It's just that he created a time paradox in this case. But I'm just not sure if I understood it correctly. And so with that, the time machine obviously being in the center of all of this was also mentioned many times. So obviously all the motivations and hints here were all understandable. And I think that's all the major things I want to mention from this episode. There were a lot of moments, and I was pretty silent this time because there was a lot of text and I was trying to take it in. But yeah, it was a very eventful episode, and yeah, I was hoping that Mayusha would do something and she would go back to the past, and I saw the opening. There was a moment in the opening where Mayushi is shown in a time machine, and I was hoping for this, and then it was kind of cut short with that scene on the roof, but now she went again in the time machine. I was like, oh, this is interesting, maybe we'll see her shine and do something and change the timeline. But we were still with our characters in this timeline. There was no shift, nothing has changed after Shin Suzuha has entered the time machine. So I'm not quite sure if it's implying that when the time machine was destroyed here, Mayushi actually has died, or she is in the past, as I already said, like couldn't go back and couldn't make any changes. We'll see in the next episodes, I assume, but that would be it for today. So please share your thoughts, as usual, without spoilers, of course. Thank you for watching, and see ya!